publisher of Yankee T News and the world-famous Parkway Diner in Stamford, Connecticut, coming to you on this Monday, June 16th, the year of our Lord 2025. Just marking another point in time as we move along. Yeah, there are so many things to talk about, but I'm going to start in an unusual place. I don't know how well you can see it, but the name is logicalconservative.com, okay? logicalconservative.com. If you are anywhere in Connecticut, go to that website. If you're a proud, loyal Republican, go to that website, because this week we have what's supposed to be a Republican bus rally. We have gotten a hold of a Trump bus. The thing looks fantastic, and we are going to several towns throughout the course of the week in order to build up Republican spirit in this otherwise morose blue state. Okay, so let me just tell you that today there was a technical issue. Hopefully the bus will be repaired. But tomorrow, Greenwich, 10 a.m., and Bruce Park at 15 Museum Drive. Stanford, 1 o'clock at City Hall at 888 Washington Boulevard, and 4 p.m. in Fairfield, the Town Hall at 611 Old Boston Post Road. Be there or be a liberal, okay? So I got to give you, and go to that logicalconservative.com website for more information. There's a really cool dinner that we're having on Saturday with Joe Hoft, who's the publisher of Gateway Pundit. It's going to be fantastic. Meantime, wow, where do we want to start? So many things. I am all over the lot here. There is so much to say about Iran, but we'll get to it. I may just save the best for the last. Meantime, yes, Eric asked that I bring up the charming Senator Fetterman and how he is, I guess, increasingly breaking ties with the Democrat Party, or did he say, that's it, I'm out of here?
Yeah, increasingly.
Increasingly. Okay, so we're still waiting for him to say he's going to be a Republican. That'll be the day. All right.
He's independent now.
Yeah. All right. So the other hot item, of course, is what happened in Minnesota. Vance Bolter, who is the, we'll just say now, the alleged shooter who killed this woman who's a legislator for the state of Mississippi, and her husband. And he attempted to shoot two others, but somehow the police were on the scene, according to their account. This is very confusing. Okay, so he escapes on foot. And just to get to the chase, today, supposedly, like 3 o'clock in the morning, he was caught by a drone, and then he surrendered, and so now he's in custody, and we hope to learn more. But before that happened, his wife got picked up with 3 other people in the car, in which they had guns, cash, ammo, and passports. I think they were heading to Canada. You know, Minnesota is kind of close to Canada. So this is so full of question marks. Where do we even begin? They won't release the manifesto. What a surprise. They always make excuses about that, but eventually we'll find out. All right, so hold on to that thought. All right, now I just want to jump to the next hot item, and that is exposing the dark money funding the riots. I just want to cut to another conclusion. I think we're going to find that these riots have turned out to be a colossal failure, and for a lot of reasons. They can keep on protesting, they can keep on causing trouble, they can keep on destroying property, they can keep on getting into fights, but they're not getting the support, they're not getting traction, and if anything, people are getting fed up with them, and we look forward to to law enforcement taking action. Now, in the case of Los Angeles, where communist mayor Karen Bass has interfered, she has had to come around and start to unleash the police on these creeps. So, the dark money part. Singham, it turns out he's a billionaire and a Marxist. But I didn't know, did you know that Singham lives in communist China? Well, anyway, the poor boy. Now we have some information suggesting, his wife, purportedly, is the one who created Indivisible, Well, to all you folks in Greenwich, Connecticut who are members of Indivisible, you should be ashamed of yourselves. You're nothing more than political whores because you're taking money from someone like her. Yeah, okay. So besides that, all right, so the investigation is going to be started, and I do believe a call has gone out to Mr. Singham. You need to come to America. We have a few questions for you, so we'll see if he follows through on that. And the other part that's really insulting is the evidence through the use of these NGOs that it's federal money, your tax dollars, my tax dollars, Eric's tax dollars, Wilm's, Carola's tax dollars, that are being used to fund these protests and these riots. That is really disgusting, okay? And it's just, you know, more evidence we got to do something about it. All right, meantime, I do have to say something about the Ukraine-Russia conflict ongoing, but I'm going to bring up something a little bit different. I came across this article, which, Wilm, you're going to be entitled to smug satisfaction with what I'm about to tell you, okay? This article talks about how the UK has played a central role in going after Russia through Ukraine. Okay, more than anything Boris Johnson said that screwed things up. In other words, the intelligence services of the UK are sort of taking credit for having trashed the Russian Navy in the Black Sea. All right. So I thought this was very interesting. I want to remind you about a little something called Operation Mincemeat. Anybody around here remember Operation Mincemeat? Oh, you do? Okay, very good.
I remember it.
Yeah. Okay, so Operation Mincemeat is an example of just how deceitful the British can really be, all right? So they got this body, dressed it up in a colonel's suit, and dumped the body off the coast of Spain, and he had a briefcase with handcuffs, and inside it were fraudulent papers misdirecting the Germans and Italians as to where we were going to invade. Basically, the paper said, nah, we're not going to go to Sicily. Yeah, it's much better to have the invasion in Sardinia for a base of operation. Much better to go invading in Greece. And they believed it, okay? That's pretty slick. I mean, that they'll go to those lengths. So if they can do that kind of deceit, what do you think they're going to do to the Russians? Just saying. So something to think about. Oh my God. I'm going to skip this one. All right. It's a little premature, but I think we're going to have problems finding any contestant who even comes close to the person that I've decided is the winner of the Idiot of the Year award. It's June, but the Idiot of the Year award goes to Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. You know, there he goes again. And part of why I'm picking on him for being an idiot is he makes these stupid, uninformed, ignorant statements about guns and gun safety, yet this is supposed to be his wheelhouse, his big specialty, the thing he knows something about. Okay, let me just remind you that previously he had said, oh, that banging noise that guns make, yeah, that's a safety feature on a gun. What? Now he says, well, if you have a suppressor or silencer on the gun, that increases the chance of people being hurt because they won't hear the shot. Are we okay with this? I mean, are we really okay with this? The press just went ahead and published this, like no big deal? Or did you want to show how stupid he can be? All right, it's just, yeah. Okay, so there you go. So we'll have a plaque for you. We'll be sending it to you, don't worry. We'll be beautifully decorated, personalized just for you, Idiot of the Year. Now, the thing that has annoys me, all right, and I'm sure that others who are watching this, is we have so many examples of where you have government officials openly defying the federal government, saying they're going to interfere with deportation efforts. I forget what section of the federal code it is, but it makes very clear that any attempt to interfere with federal officials carrying out the law will get you in trouble. How many times this has been going on, okay? And they still have not been arrested. So right here, we have the latest, the Gateway Pundit as an article. Far left extremist website publishes 7 steps to stop the federal government for for deportation efforts. You have got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. All right, so let's move on to the next one. You may remember one of the first things that Elon Musk reported to the nation when DOJ started digging into the federal agencies was all the corruption that was going on in USAID. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have USAID Part 2. All right, I will just mention it in passing, and that there are a number of people who are responsible for something like $500 million worth of illicit contracts filtered through USAID. Hopefully they will be prosecuted, and hopefully they'll be sent to jail. All right, here's the other hot thing, and it is hot, literally. We have more discussion here about what we'll call the AI nuclear race. It's been decided that nuclear plants must be built in extremis. I mentioned this last week. The projection is that we may find at this point with this build out something on the order of 12% of America's energy being consumed for the purposes of AI. Now, again, for historical perspective, I just want to remind you there was a time when it was 20% of American electrical energy that was produced by nuclear power plants. Now, there may have been some drop off, but I think that figure is still about right. So tack on to that this other 12% serving the needs of AI. This is crazy. And the amount of money that's involved, the permitting process, environmental, you name it, there's so many things that have to be done to make this happen. But there is this frantic sense that we must hurry up because we can't let the Chinese beat us to what? The holy grail of artificial intelligence, maybe. But anyway, so here's the other thing. I have a question. I haven't answered this yet, but I want to ask it. Will we be consuming more energy for artificial intelligence than for manufacturing? Okay? I have to look into that. That would be wild if we were actually consuming more electricity for the purposes of AI than for manufacturing. I don't know the answer. Meantime, I want to bring up once again Tina Peters. Tina Peters. God, how we pray for you. God, how we hope that this is going to get resolved. And it's not a sideshow, but at the same time in Colorado, you have Mike Lindell with his trial tangling with Smartmatic and Dominion Systems over what would be ultimately election fraud. And again, they're going to dovetail. So you have the appellate brief. It's been filed. I guess it's still under review. We're waiting. All right. Meantime, the food additive of the week this week, ladies and gentlemen, is parabens. Now, first, I got to find you the picture. Where did it go? Parabens are found in fruits, and they are synthesized. So there's the basic paraben molecule, okay? People make a big deal out of parabens being found in blueberries, but that's not the only food source. Now, I put up a link for an article that's very critical about these claims. And I'll tell you, the one that's a real shocker to me, even though parabens have been well understood and around for a long time, used extensively in various food, cosmetic, and even industrial applications, when you go to PubMed and you look for research on the risks of parabens over the course of 40 years, maybe 50 studies, that's nothing. We have not looked at parabens at all right? So we should be ashamed for that. But definitely, I've mentioned it, and there's complaint about parabens in shampoo. There's even, I couldn't believe when I read this, there's supposedly an unanswered question about whether parabens are even carcinogenic. Well, this is crazy. Look up the Delaney Act and tell me I'm crazy, okay? So there's that, and let's see here. Quickly. All right, let me just get now to Iran. First part of the article, it was a very long article, and I put in a lot of references. I mean a lot for this thing. Okay, so the first problem is that there is a sign. I think you can find this sign on a street in the 3rd district in the city of Tehran. The sign says, "Do not disturb. Decapitation in progress." Okay, don't bug us. We're busy decapitating people. The leadership of the Iranian government. I'm still trying to find it. Bear with me. So, yes, there is this claim. Now, until there's more information on this, I'll simply refer to these as claims, that there are Israeli defense forces on the ground in the city of Tehran as we speak who are looking for leaders of the Iranian government. Meantime, we have purportedly the Ayatollah. He already left town, so they're not going to find him in Tehran, getting ready to go to Moscow. We'll find out if that's true. And I'll pose the question, maybe he doesn't get there in time. Just a thought. Just a thought.
So, planned murder for the Ayatollah.
Well, it's a back and forth. You know, President Trump came out and said, no, don't assassinate him, leave him alone. Okay, so, you know, President Trump is doing the right thing as far as that's concerned. And just to make the point, if you haven't read about this yet, ladies and gentlemen, what we are seeing here, perhaps, is another example of incredible genius. I want to use the term correlation of forces, starting with President Trump and Netanyahu, and then anybody else who happens to fall into the mix. So let's go back in time. It was in April when President Trump said to Iran, you have 60 days in which to come to the table so we can work out a nuclear deal. They kept making noise, they kept laughing at us, they thought the Americans were weak negotiators. And then came day 61. Day 61 is history, right? Because that's when Israel launched its attacks. Oh my goodness. Okay, so part one, it's very odd. It's the same strategy that we saw in Ukraine and in Iran, where you had these special forces who essentially planted themselves in enemy territory, operating freely as far as we can tell, right? We know what happened in Russia, but now here in the case of Iran, we've had these local drone attacks, but they didn't stop there, did they? No. It's advanced now to the point that we have these reports of Israelis walking the streets in the city of Tehran looking for these guys. This is unbelievable. Also, I just want to remind you, back when we invaded Iraq, does anybody remember the deck of cards? Anybody remember the deck of cards?
No.
It was 55 cards, and they were the top 55 people that we wanted to find, if you will. And so, of course, Hussein was the ace of spades, but then, you know, his foreign minister would have been the king of hearts or something like that. And so the troops used those to find these people, and eventually didn't find them all, but they found a lot of them. So you can imagine that the Israelis are using a similar approach in identifying people in the city of Tehran who are, shall we say, of special interest. Now, we have to remember to put up this link. You know, of course, this always happens. After I put this up, what happens? Now I get this phenomenal link. It was Tousi, T-O-U-S-I, I think, T-O-U-S-I TV. I think he's some guy in Britain, well produced, but he's the one who's dropping the bombs, so to speak, about Khomeini getting ready to flee to Moscow, of having this new minister for the army, raising the question, where is the army? Where are they? I haven't seen anything from them hiding their hair. The only tool that the Iranians have right now are the missile launchers. And they still have a lot of ballistic missiles, but that's about it. And if they use them up, I don't know. What are you guys going to do next? So as far as an effective government is concerned, it looks like it's falling apart very quickly. Then the other thing mentioned in this video is, if it hasn't happened already, it probably soon will, that they will take control of the TV station in Tehran. You got to stop and think about this. Wait a second.
Stop and think about it.
Yes. Israelis controlling the Tehran TV station.
Yeah, I
What?
I,
What?
Have a
Yeah.
cup of coffee and think about that.
Yeah. Don't even need the cup of coffee. It's like, whoa. Okay. So that's just for openers. All right. The Army's still missing. Got the new commander. More bluster. We know what's going on with him. What we're going to hear, I believe, in the next few days is going to be more and more about how the government is becoming weaker and less effectual. Let me give you another one that was brought up. This is bizarre. All right, everything I say is provisional. I'm not sure that it's true yet, but here's another one. Part one. What has Pakistan done? Pakistan has a common border with Iran. I thought Pakistan was a friend to Iran. No.
I heard it wasn't. Yeah.
They shut the border.
Yeah,
Pakistan shut the border with Iran.
I heard that.
Yeah, you want to come on through?
Border.
Yeah, you're out of luck. Go back. Okay, meantime, part two. In the parliament, you got this guy making a speech, or whatever it was he was complaining about. Then when he's done, the members of the parliament are going, Pakistan, Pakistan, Pakistan. Guys, I'm a little confused. Why are you cheering for Pakistan when they just shut off the border with you? Okay, there's something wrong with this. That they did. So what is going on? Okay, it's a fair question. All right, so I really think the big one, ladies and gentlemen, are all the things that I brought up here.
PSYOP.
Yeah, what's PSYOP? Where?
It's all of PSYOP.
All of PSYOP. Yeah, okay. We'll see. We'll see when Khomeini is standing there next to Putin, shaking his hand and saying, "Thank you for having me stay in Moscow." Yeah, big PSYOP.
Or having an ice cream cone.
If he does that, I don't know. I don't think they like. I don't think the Shia Muslims like ice cream. I could be wrong about that. But oh wait, since you brought that up, another true story. There is a video clip. The link is right there if you go see it. While the city of Tehran is being attacked, you see missiles in the air. There are people sitting on the roof of a building, taking pictures and, wait for it.
Music.
No, no, having popcorn. You can't beat that. Having popcorn while their city is being attacked. I don't know, which side are they on in this case? Yeah, not so sure, you know? Okay.
Did you see that on TV? Is that really?
There's a real video clip,
Wow.
and it shows them sitting there just partying away.
Wow.
And this guy comes in with this huge bag of popcorn. They're tearing it open. They're starting to enjoy it. I couldn't believe it. Oh, my God. So anyway, just to make the point, with all that's going on, now, especially we've heard Tucker Carlson make these points, very concerned that we're getting closer and closer to World War III. There will be a point of no return. And he feels that we're very, very close to that. Okay. I'm going to say, Tucker, you might be right. But what happens if Israel is able to collapse the Iranian government? What then? Okay, I still have the question about the army. But the other problem is this. We only have two contestants, if you will, for taking over the Iranian government. One is a small upstart communist party, MEK, and the other is the son of the Shah. Now, Eric has argued the case, I'll say maybe persuasively because I need to read these things myself, but he's argued that the Shah, before he got chased out of Iran back in the 70s, was very popular. Okay, he's since passed away. His son has been growing up, maturing into a man and hopefully a leader. And so here's a moment where he might be able to step in, maybe. But You know, when you think of everything that is involved logistically in putting together a political organization, where is it? I don't see it, all right? Maybe it'll show up, but right now it ain't there. Some have said, so great, you think you have a popular uprising. We have the link there in the article. You can check that. American thinker.
Didn't he live in Greenwich too?
He might have, but yeah, great.
I think
I'm having trouble seeing how we're going to get from one to the next. And by the way, on the point of a popular rebellion, popular uprising, I want to remind you, didn't this happen once before in Iran, ladies and gentlemen? I believe it was in the 90s under Bush 1, if we remember correctly. Anybody? There was an attempt at a popular uprising. They were counting on America to step in and help. Bush wimped out. But I guess consistent with the discussion we're having here, all that's happening is that Mr. Bush was doing his job as a good globalist, okay? We couldn't have Iran becoming an independent country if you're a believer in the New World Order. Just saying, all right?
I need to tell Deborah that a lot of her stuff is starting to come true.
Oh, I see you're trying to get on her good side. I got it. I got it. Now, just a couple, bear with me, you know,
Well, it
please.
seems like both the Democrats and the Republicans have been sleepwalking us into this surveillance state.
That's another subject altogether. We're talking about Iran.
We are going to get into that, though.
Oh,
And you're going
sure.
you
Well,
need
I
to
brought
tell
it.
tell
Hey,
the audience, please reassure them.
I've talked about it before.
Please reassure them.
Yes, and we'll talk about it again. It's a special project, and I'm not sure I have a good answer to it. But, so let me just ask the rhetorical question. What is the breaking point for Iran? At what point will all these things that are happening to them as the Israelis put more and more pressure on them, will Iran say, that's it, we're done, we're out, we can't do this anymore? What will that point be? Okay? Who's going to be the last holdout in what is left of the Iranian government? Will it be somebody in the parliament? Will it be some other leader who rises up and says, I'm in charge now? Will it be the army? I don't know. So I'm just raising this as a question. If this keeps on going, there has to be a breaking point for Iran. What's it going to look like? And what I just raised before, after the breaking point, who takes over? Would Israel form a provisional government in Iran? I mean, I would have never considered such a possibility, but now I do.
yeah, I do.
Okay, now, meantime, I want to make another really important point here. Putin, okay? Putin has been kind of in the conversation, a couple phone calls. Yeah, Trump and Putin, what are we going to do about Iran? We want peace. Yeah, we agree. And Trump communicates that. And then Putin calls up Khamenei and says, dude, you're going to have to leave town. You're done. All right, you can say all those things. But now, here's the problem. How much has Russia depended upon Iran? Economically and militarily, not to mention geopolitically. If you ain't got no Iranian government no mo, that's been your friend supposedly, what are you gonna do? So let me offer up the radical thought for today. Will the conflict in Iran drive Putin to the peace table with Ukraine? In other words, if he loses what he would see as a key support in the battle, Iran, will we have to fold up and say we'll have to talk peace? Because let me tell you something. It was unusual when Putin made the statement, I am ready to talk peace in a couple of weeks. So wait a second. We had the attack. Things are not going well in Iran. Then Putin makes this statement about seeking peace with Ukraine while trying to be a part of this broker thing going on with Iran. I'm thinking that this does not work out in his favor. Okay, and he will be, yes, and he will have to go to the peace table because of what Israel did to Iran. Another totally wild thought. I just got to throw it out there. I'm sorry, bear with me. If you've got the patience to stay with me, I think it's worth it. This stuff is just, okay. All right, the title is in the theme, which should have been posted, right, Eric? The idiot liberals on parade again. And who could I possibly be talking about this time? Well, that would be that most outstanding captured elite, Tim Walz, that China-loving piece of crap. So it's just astonishing. He does this like 1-minute piece in which he works up to selling the idea that China has the moral authority to resolve the Iran-Israel conflict. Okay, first of all, Tim, China's a communist country. They don't have a really good track record on resolving international conflicts. So they would not be my first choice. But the part that really makes you look like an idiot is shortly after you made this statement, what did China do? They didn't try to broker anything. They came out on Iran's side. What kind of moral authority is that, Tim? Man, you dumb. Man. Okay, meantime, I think in America they're confused. The other point is that within the foreign policy community in America, I'm sorry, President Trump is the only person who's taking a clear-headed approach to this whole thing. Only one. You have Tulsi Gabbard sitting there testifying over something. She mentions that according to the DNI's records and intelligence, the Iranian government has not been pursuing a nuclear bomb since 2003. Can we just say, Tulsi, your intelligence sucks?
Yeah.
Just, I'm not quite sure what those centrifuges are for. They're pretty expensive, and they keep getting more of them, and they keep making higher and higher purity, higher and higher grades of uranium. And they don't seem to be in the import-export business on uranium. So, no, I think the DNI might be screwing up on that one. Yeah, just saying. All right, just a couple of the things I gotta finish here. The thought is, whoever takes over, there's always the possibility they're gonna be worse than the old boss. The new boss, worse than the old boss.
Now, this conundrum was actually played out in a movie from, I think it was in the 1990s, called Crimson Tide.
Okay.
And it was aboard a U.S. naval submarine where you had the threat of...
was this with Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman?
Gene Hackman.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
So they had an emergency action message, and they were not able... So there was a conflict in terms of what it actually meant. And they didn't... Did it mean to do this, or was it an incomplete message and it meant to stand down or whatever? So they didn't know. So the captain's position was that we got to strike now, we got to bomb them now.
Whereas Denzel played the good guy.
Well, he would not be seen as the good guy in today's scenario.
Okay, all right.
Because basically the Gene Hackman of that story, the Gene Hackmans of today would be like the Mark Levins, the Netanyahus, the et cetera.
Sure.
And so forth.
Yep. Okay, so that is pretty much it. I will just close on this whole thing with Iran and simply acknowledge the obvious. The situation is changing very quickly, and there will continue to be, for the next several weeks, a lot of uncertainty. This could go in any direction, I'm just saying. So we'll have lots of other things to cover. Definitely watch this, tell your friends, please subscribe. We're getting up there closer. We're still not at 1,000 mark, we're so close. And on that happy note, I will see you next week.